Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om. We had seen in the first session that only Manushya Yoni has the ability to seek for Maneesha. Sound maybe a little louder. Manushya Yoni, human forms, human species alone has the ability to seek for Maneesha. What is Maneesha? Systematically thinking about a topic and arriving to a conviction on that topic. This is the ability of mind and intellect put together. Mind evaluates different things, intellect comes to a conclusion. And one who can do this seamlessly, Bhagwan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita calls him as Yukta Purusha. Yukta means not only he analyzes thoroughly, he arrives at a conclusion. If only analysis is there, no conclusion, that person lacks the decisiveness in his personality. Other yoni was Prakrutika yoni of animals, where most of the needs are taken care by Prakriti. Mother Nature takes care of everything. That yoni doesn't have to strive too much to accomplish things. Humans, on the other hand, because they are endowed with this faculty, he says whatever they want, they can accomplish. Sakala padarata hai jagamahi karma hina nara pavatanahi. Whatever this person wants, everything he can accomplish as long as he puts effort in the right direction. And that willingness to put forth effort is called as Purushartha. 4 Purusharthas we had seen, starting with Kama Purushartha. Now you might ask, why did you start with Kama first? Why not directly Dharma or Moksha? Whenever we do vichara, whenever we do thinking, it should align with our experience in life. How have we started our life and where did it take us? And wherever we went, how did our goals evolve? Whatever we started doing in life right in the beginning, more or less it started with Kama Purushartha. Physiological needs, security, emotional needs, and the last one was recognition. All of that we sought, and to fulfill those requirements, to fulfill those needs of ours, Kama Purushartha, we needed Artha. But to make sure that we get prosperity not only outside, but also get peace inside, calmness inside, that quest led us to the 3rd Purushartha, which is Dharma. Now I think all your study group, majority discussion happened on Dharma Purushartha. And it was nice to hear all the things you discussed. You must have heard the term Sanatana Dharma. We say in our Sanatana Dharma, we follow these practices, these values. One should pay attention to the word Sanatana over there. What does Sanatana mean? Eternal. Meaning, for anybody to be happy in this world, in any yuga, Kali Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, or Satya Yuga. Whichever yuga you take, in any of the yugas, if anybody has been happy in this world, it has only been by following values. There will be no yuga where values will lose their importance as the means for happiness. There will be no yuga where adharma will become the means for happiness. Although it might look that way, That is how Shakuni felt. He said, why are you spending so much time doing good? You cut corners here, I will tell you how to win that game of... Actually, this is the promise he gives to Duryodhana. He says, why are you getting into all this battle and everything? I will tell you a technique where you can win over the Pandavas without entering into any battle. He says, what is that technique? You leave it up to me. How to rig that dice, that you leave it up to me, I will take care of. Means adharma was his Maneesha. Every one of us has a Maneesha, conviction. Shakuni's Maneesha was in adharma. Sanatana Dharma means this person has firm conviction, if I have done my duty well, there is no way Bhagwan will keep me away from Sukham in my life. Means if I have held on to Dharma, he says, joy or happiness has to come to my life. There is no exception to this rule. What tests our Shraddha is the duration of waiting time in between. That's why we said dharmic person is somebody who has lot of Shraddha to begin with. Dharma cannot take place without Shraddha. No quick result. He says that wait period is easy for that person to go through. So you take any dharma for example. Goswamiji points out several things in the Ramcharitmanas. One example he gives is of trust. If you take that as a value, he says, look at the beauty of trust. It can make two people come together and blend seamlessly. He says, trust is something which can make two people come together and make them blend seamlessly, just like water and milk come together. And the beauty is such that when water and milk is heated up, the water gives up itself to save the milk. And when the milk is sold, the water gets sold at the price of milk. He says, look at the beauty of trust. But if one drop of lemon falls in that milk and water, he says milk is separate, water is separate, and both are not having any rasa. And he says that drop of lemon is kapata. Means some adharmic tendency. Kapata means deceit. The main point there is how Sanatana Dharma is eternal across all yugas. In that we have to get conviction. In that we need more thinking. There were different examples we had seen, but I think we don't have to revise all of that. Otherwise most of our class will go in the recap only. You know, in olden days, traditional style of teaching, the speaker doesn't do recap. The listener does the recap. But I know we have different setup. So it's... So we saw the three Purusharthas. One was Kama, Artha, Dharma. This is where we had stopped. But then grace of Bhagwan is such that this person who has lived a dharmic life, who has an insignia of less chinta, less worries, that person can seek something higher, do more chintanam, and he enters into moksha purushartha. And that moksha purushartha, if you want to make it more personal, he said it is the quest for unconditioned happiness, which all of us are seeking But only question is where. All of us seek in different places. Vedanta says, seek it in the right place. Happiness is our nature. We don't have to seek it outside. So the main message through Moksha Purushartha was to reflect on Mahavakya. This is where we had seen the Arani example. The top block representing the inquiry on who am I. And the bottom block represented inquiry on what is this world. When you rub it, the churning happens between the top and the bottom block. The knowledge that arises out of it, that knowledge is, my nature is pure consciousness, and the nature of this world is also the same consciousness. They are not two different things. It is only one consciousness in which this individuality and the world is appearing. Now, why are we discussing Mahavakya suddenly? Maneesha Panchakam is elaboration on 4 Mahavakyas. Every verse of Maneesha Panchakam will elaborate one Mahavakya from different Vedas. That is why we went through this discussion. First from Kama to Artha to Dharma, but finally it is Moksha Purushartha. And within Moksha, the central theme is Mahavakya Vichara. Okay? Now, the background story of Maneesha Panchakam. It is that one day there was a conference, not in Manushya Loka, but in Devata's Loka. Conference means academic conference, where people used to submit research papers, they would turn in things. And whenever you have a conference, you have a steering committee, right? You have a president of that steering committee. Their job is to look for good articles. Their job is to look for good articles, original articles, somebody who can submit those. They are always looking out for that. So it is that Brahmaji, he was the steering committee president of this conference of Devatas, and he was looking, nowadays to submit original articles in Vedanta is very hard. Generally they'll pick from here, pick from there, and then finally make their own article and say, this is mine. He says, where can we get original content? And the best one. Indra Bhagwan must be there. He said, Lord Shiva has taken avatar as Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. How about we get an article from him? Agni Devata was sitting right there. He said, you know how busy Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is? He only has 16 years right now to finish his work, always walking from one place to another place. He will not submit any article to our conference. That is how it works. Those who are original content where you want to get, they are so busy, it's so hard to get anything from them to submit. He says, now what should we do? How can we ask Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji to submit an article for this conference? Brahmaji says, let's go to Lord Shiva. He is only avatar he is. Lord Shiva says, you don't worry. I will create a prasanga. Prasanga means I'll create a situation such that whatever Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has to say, he will say. You quickly note down. He will not submit it by writing. You quickly note down 5 verses. If he speaks, consider yourself very blessed. Actually speaking, this is Bhagwan's style of teaching. Bhagwan wanted to give us Vishnu Sahasranama. He deluded Yudhishthira. You know that story, right? In Bhagavatam. After the whole war is done, Mahabharata war is done, Yudhishthira feels, did I do the right thing? And remember, Bhagwan Krishna was right next to him. And his personality was such, whatever Bhagwan Krishna says, he says that is the final verdict. No more questions asked. But Bhagwan Krishna says, this question is very subtle, I cannot answer. Somebody else is there who is waiting for my darshan also. Bhishma Pitama was a great devotee of Bhagwan Krishna. When Bhagwan goes there, he says, Bhagwan, you just stand there smiling. First I have to do your stuti, and then let us discuss dharma. That stuti which he does is Vishnu Sahasranama. So Bhagavan wanted that stuti to come out. He created prasanga of deluding Yudhishthira. Bhagavan wanted to give us Bhagavatam. He deluded Parikshitji Maharaj. Don't think Parikshitji Maharaj was actually deluded. Means he is not somebody who will take that snake and put on that rishi. But prasanga had to be created. Situation had to be created. So he deludes devotees in that way. That doesn't mean we should get deluded. Only those devotees it is good. But in the life of Tansen also, there is one story when he takes Akbar to his guru. What was his name? Haridas ji. Akbar says, why don't you call Haridas ji to our court? He says he doesn't come to anybody's court. He sings only in the court of Rama. You will have to go to him, and if he sings, feel yourself very blessed. So Tansen goes there and he purposely commits mistake. So his guru scolds him and says, is this how you sing? Give the Tanpura. And he takes and sings. He says, this is how great Mahatmas will create prasanga for something to come out. Lord Shiva, in the same way, with the same spirit, he says, let me create some prasanga so that Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji can give this teaching. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya at that time with all his disciples was in Kashi Kshetra. Vidyanagari, the place of learning. All great Mahatmas, all great scholars of Advaita Vedanta and so many other schools of thoughts. Everybody lives there. Early morning, 5 o'clock or even earlier, Bhagwan took a dip in Gangaji, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. And he was coming on the streets of Kashi. If you have been to Kashi, you know how narrow the streets are. If you are walking and one cow comes, everybody has to stand on the side. Whichever house is there, everybody has to go in. That cow gets the right of way. First it will go, then everybody comes down. Like this, Bhagwan Shankaracharya was coming, and Lord Shiva at that time took an avatar as a Chandala. Chandala means the king of crematorium. Chandala means that. The one who rules over the crematorium. There are different ghats in Kashi. The one who rules there is this Chandala. And his work is very, very tough. Imagine, every day, in 1 hour, several bodies he has to see. And it is said, whenever you do that kriya, you have to take a shower. But because he has to do it so many times, there is no question. So he is not somebody who takes shower, because his work is like that. And imagine the state of mind of such a person. So it is said generally the Chandala will be a little high. Little bit. He will be high. So all of these things were included in that Chandala. And he was coming in the opposite way. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, along with all his disciples, just having taken dip in Gangaji, going towards the temple of Kashi Vishwanatha, Bhagwan. Now, naturally, when you see like this, the other disciples were there. They say, Gacha Gacha. Means, please move away. Let Shankaracharya ji pass by first. You see the picture there? That is what it depicts. Maneesha Panchakam, the painting. The Chandala is now standing there, and he is asking a question to Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. Answer to his question is Maneesha Panchakam. What Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji responds? He says, you said Gacha Gacha. I want to know from what standpoint you said move away. Bhagwan is suddenly taken aback. He was not expecting this counter question. He said, Gacha Gacha means you will just move away, I will go past, things will be over. So that is the first verse. Let us chant. If you have your book, it's on page number 1. Books, you can keep it with you. You don't have to get up every time. Annamaya dannamaya mathava Chaitanyameva chaitanyat Dvijavara duri kartum vanchasi Kim bruhi gaccha gaccheti. Together. Annamaya dannamaya mathava Chaitanyameva chaitanyat Dvijavara duri kartum vanchasi Kim bruhi gaccha gaccheti. Kim bruhi gaccha gaccheti. How come you said Gacha Gacha? Bhagwan says, I am trying to understand your thought process here. Bhagwan means the Chandala. Lord Shiva, who is in the form of Chandala, he is telling Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. You know, in our colloquial language also we say, right? Where are you coming from? You should not tell literally the place. Where are you coming from means, what is your mindset? How come you said such a thing? Children also we ask sometimes, whenever they say something, Kim Bruhi, how come you said this? So the Chandala is asking Bhagwan Shiva, how come you said Gacha Gacha? Whatever we speak reflects our thinking. Bhagwan has made this connection, For too long you cannot keep your speech different from your mind. If mind is angry, no matter how hard you try, it will slowly trickle down into speech. One cannot say mind is calm, but my speech is anger. Meaning what? There is a strong correlation between our thinking and our speech. If in your speech you said Gacha Gacha, he says, in your thinking, is there any sense of duality? You can move one thing from another thing only when two things are separate. Right? He says if there is only one non-dual truth, where is the question of moving one thing from the other? Now he elaborates what he means. The first line you see, Annamayat Annamayam. Now you said Gacha Gacha, move away. What are you applying this to? Are you applying to this Annamaya? See how he refers to body. He says body is nothing but modification of food. Maya means vikara. It's a modification of food. If you take from that standpoint also, the same food which has formed your body is the same food which has formed this body. You can say the farmer's market of Kashi, whatever vegetables have come, before it entered here, it was just vegetable of Kashi. How come suddenly, after it has become this body, you are making this difference between me and you? Annamayat Annamayam. This itself is a great sadhana, to look upon this body as modification of food. And if you look at it from that standpoint, totality is nothing but Annamaya only. All our shariras are modification of food. In that, why make this distinction that one Annamaya is separate and second Annamaya is separate? He says everything is Annamaya only. Even there, how can you make distinction between my Annamaya and your Annamaya? So is your attention on body? That is his first question. That is considered to be as a very basic level of thinking and seeing if attention is only on physical body. About ourselves and about this world also. If we interact with people just thinking that we are sthula sharira, that person is yet to begin spiritual journey. This part is said in Ashtavakra Gita. Huh? The first time when Ashtavakra ji comes to the court of Janak Maharaj. Ashtavakra means the one who was bent in 8 places. Ashtavakra. Ashta means 8, bent means vakra. And it is said, the people in Janak Maharaj's court, they just, look at Ashtavakra ji and they say something. Ashtavakra ji tells Janak Maharaj, I thought there were Vidwan in your court. I won't say what he says after that. Means he says, I didn't know that everybody's drashti was only on Sharira. I thought Janak Maharaj's court had lot of Vidwan. But go to see all your Vidwan's drashti is only from Sharira standpoint. So he says, is your drashti also like that? Chandala is asking, Annamayad Annamayam? Athava Chaitanyameva Chaitanyat? Or is your drashti on this Shuddha Chaitanya? This non-dual truth which is there, Shuddha Chaitanya is only one. That Chaitanya which is appearing in you, which is reflected in this conditioning, and the Chaitanya which is reflecting in this conditioning. What is the difference in that one Chaitanya? If the truth is non-dual and it is only one, where is the question of moving one non-dual truth from another? There is no other to begin with. Chaitanya meva chaitanyat. Dvijavara duri kartum vanchasi. Dvijavara means, O Sreshta among Brahmanas. Actually, this is not a praise for a sannyasi. It is said, any title given to a sannyasi is actually something which should not be done. Because sannyasi is somebody who has moved above all ashramas. To say or to call him as Dvijavara itself is a sarcastic remark. All other titles are included. Engineer, doctor, everything, whatever comes along with that sannyasa, he says we really don't need that. Because that sannyasi is abiding in that non-dual truth. All titles which are attached is actually from our standpoint. And one need not also. It says, Dvijavara duri kartum vanchasi. You are wanting to move something from something. Tell me from what standpoint are you making this statement? Kim bruhi gaccha gaccheti. So from what standpoint are you making this statement, gaccha gaccha? It is said, for a Vedanta sadhaka, there are some sadhanas which are not more action oriented. Bhagwan Krishna had 3 main disciples. One we know was Arjuna. Can you tell me who the other 2 were? Uddhava and Gopis. Samanta Panchaka Lake, that is when he gives them Vedanta Upadesha. The teaching given to Arjuna is called as Bhagavad Gita. Teaching given to Uddhava is called as Gopi Gita nahi hai, Gopi Geet. Gopi Geet. But Uddhav ji, when he gives Uddhav Gita, Bhagwan gives him one sadhana. He says, Uddhav ji, you have a life which is very dynamic. Dynamic means what? You are interacting with people, having so many action going on in your life. If you want to abide in this non-dual truth, you follow this sadhana. What is that sadhana? He says, Parasvabhava karmani na prashamset na garhayet. Somebody else's svabhava. Parasvabhava means somebody else's nature. And their karma. their actions, na prashamset. Don't unnecessarily praise, nor criticize, na garhayet. Why? He says if you do that, either you will get attached or you will develop some kind of dvesha. Either raga will come if you praise, or dvesha will come if you criticize out of place. Your goal is Vishwam Ekatmakam Pashyan. You are trying to abide in that non-dual truth, which is one without a second. So more differences you see in the world, greater will be ragadvesha, less you will be able to abide in this truth. Advice given to every disciple is very different. To Uddhavji, this is the advice he gives. Hint of that we can see in this verse. Kim bruhi gaccha gaccheti. From what standpoint are you telling gaccha gaccha? Because more importance you give to duality, that this is Chandala and this is Vipra. To that extent is your abidance less in non-dual truth. To that extent, you will not be able to abide in that non-dual truth. Pashyan ekatmakam vishwam. Prakrutya purushena cha, that is the last quarter. Either from Prakriti standpoint, you dissolve everything into Pancha Mahabhuta, or you abide in that consciousness which is non-dual. But this sadhana is important. Parasvabhava karmani na prashamset na garhayet. Now this done out of duty is a different story. Now next question would be, if a child is doing something wrong, what should we do? Parasvabhava karmani na prashamset na garhayet. He says no, that is done as kartavya. But we end up doing that in so many places out of ragadvesha. That part is said one should avoid. Okay, so this was the introduction verse. He says you cannot move away consciousness from consciousness. And you can also not move away matter from matter, because everything is matter only. Okay, tell me one thing. Is this harmonium anamaya or not? Careful, think and tell. How many of you say yes? How many say no? Few say no, okay. This podium, is it annamaya? So what is the definition of annam? Not only food, Whatever is earth element. Earth element, you can include everything in it. So this harmonium is also wood coming from earth. Not necessary that we have to be able to eat it. Then only it becomes annam. That is one definition of annam, which is fit for being consumed. But everything which is there, matter in particular, this body is also matter. This harmonium is also matter. Carpet on which we are sitting, that is also matter. He says, what is the difference between matter and matter? What is the matter? He says, what should I move from what? What is your standpoint of Bheda? We have to appreciate the deeper import of his question. Bhagavan Shankaracharya is taken aback. He says, I did not fully get the question. Can you please elaborate? He says, yes. Next verse. Kim Gangambu Nibimbitemba Ramanau. Kim Gangambu Nibimbitemba Ramanau. Chandala Vati Payaha. Chandala Vati Payaha. Pure Chantaramasti Kanchana Ghati. Pure Chantaramasti Kanchana Ghati. Pure Chantaramasti Kanchana Ghati. Pure Chantaramasti Antaramasti Kanchana Ghati Mrutkumbhayorvambare Vambare Mrutkumbhayorvambare Vambare Pratyagvastu Nistaranga Pratyagvastu Nistaranga Pratyagvastu Sahajanandavabodhambudhau 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 Viproyam shvapachoyamithyapi mahan Viproyam shvapachoyamithyapi mahan Viproyam shvapachoyamithyapi mahan Viproyam shvapachoyamithyapi mahan Koyam vibheda brahmaha Vibheda brahmaha Koyam vibheda brahmaha Brahmaha King Gangambuni Bimbitembaramano Chandala Vatipayaha Pure Chantaramasti Kanchana Ghati Mrutkumbhayorvambare Pratyagvastu Nistaranga Sahajanandavabodhambudhau Viproyam shvapachoyamithyapi mahan Koyam vibheda brahmaha. In Sanskrit, you can move the words as you want. Ramaha vanam gacchati. Gacchati Ramaha vanam. Vanam gacchati Ramaha. Everything means the same. Unlike in English. Rama goes to forest. You cannot say forest goes to Rama. Okay. How many of you are comfortable with Devanagari? You can read Devanagari well. Okay, let me put it other way. How many of you are Angla Bhasha Eka Sharanaha? You can lift it carefully. Based on that, I will decide whether to do Anvaya or not. Okay. You can help each other out. After going to a room, look at this. Look at the beauty. What he is saying is, first line you see, King Gangamuni Bimbite Ambaramanau. Two words, pay attention there. He says, Ambaramanau Kim. Ambaramanau means jewel in the sky. Ambara means sky. Mani means jewel. What is jewel in the sky? Sun. We would use the word Surya. Bhagavan Shankaracharya, he says Ambaramanau. Ambaramanau Kim Antaram Asti. Second line. Cha Antaram Asti, right? Ambaramanau Kim Antaram Asti. In the sun, what is the difference? What is the difference in the sun? Which sun? Gangambuni Bimbite Ambaramanau. That sun which is reflected in the most auspicious, most purifying Gangaji. Gangambuni Bimbite Ambaramanau. That sun which is reflected in Gangaji. And Chandala Vati Payaha. Bimbite Ambaramanau. That sun which is reflected in the water used by Chandala. Water used by Chandala to wash the ghat. After the cremation is done, the water that he uses, it is not kept in a very clean condition. The same water he uses over and over again. But he says, one sun is getting reflected in Gangaji, and same sun is getting reflected in this water of Chandala. There might be difference in Gangaji and that Chandala water, but he says, Ambaramanau Kim. How does that matter to the sun? Reflection in Gangaji and reflection in Chandala's water. He says, has this reflection created any distortion in the sun? That is his first example. Means he is telling here, you said gacha gacha, right? So how come that Chaitanya which is reflecting in that Chandala and that Chaitanya which is reflecting in Jagat Guru Shankaracharya ji, he says, what is the difference in that consciousness? Ambaramanau Kim means, what is the difference in that sun in the example? But what he really wants to point out is, what is the reflection in consciousness? Then you see the second line. Second line you should read it as Ambare Kim. Ambare means space. Ambare Kim. Ambare Kim Antaram Asti. What is the difference in the space? He said, which space are you talking about? Kanchana Ghati Ambare. That space which is conditioned by golden pot. Golden pot, the space which is conditioned. And Mrut Kumbhayoho Va Ambare. That space which is conditioned by mud pot. Price of mud pot, price of golden pot might be different. He says the space conditioned by mud pot and space conditioned by golden pot. What is the difference in that space? Ambare Kim. Previous one was Ambaramanau Kim. What is the difference in the sunlight? This is second example. Both are different. First example was sun getting reflected in water. Second is space getting conditioned by golden pot, space getting conditioned by mud pot. He says, how has that mud pot and golden pot brought about a difference in space? What is the pot here? Body. In Kenopanishad, Bhagwan calls this body as Mrut Lepa, plaster of mud. Like on a house, how you put mud, like that on consciousness, this body is the plaster. He says, how has that space gotten affected by the mud pot? How has that space gotten affected by the golden pot? Third line is the nature of consciousness. Pratyak vastuni nistaranga. This consciousness is pratyak. Pratyak means what? It never becomes an object of knowledge. It is not drishya. Drishya means seen. It never becomes seen. It is that pratyak vastu. You remember that line from Upanishad Ganga? जो तुझे दिखता है वो तू है नहीं, जो तू है वो तुझे दिखता नहीं. Means what you see, that is not who you are. What you are, that you cannot see through physical eyes. That is the meaning of the word pratyak. In this pratyak vastuni, nistaranga. Nistaranga means there is no thought, there is no creation. In that nistaranga, shanta swarupa, of the nature of calmness, in that pratyak vastu, ananda avabodha ambudav. Ananda means absolute bliss. Bliss is something which is always known. That is why the word has come, avabodha. Avabodha means that which is known. Happiness which is not known, what use is it to us? Something is there which is of the nature of happiness. He says, no, this thing is such, it is pratyak. It is right here, and that happiness becomes known to us. Avabodha ambudhi. It is like an ocean of bliss. In that consciousness, how come you are seeing duality? Avabodha ambudav, vipraha ayam. This is a vipra, this is a brahmana. Shvapachaha ayam. This one is a Chandala. Viproyam shvapachoyam iti api mahan koyam vibheda brahmaha. How come you are seeing this bheda, and it is a mahan bheda? Why is it mahan? this becomes the cause of our sorrow. This becomes the cause of our samsara, and the one who does not remove this duality, that person will be pushed into more rebirth. There is a sequence there also. The moment we see duality, we will want something to be closer to us, and we will want something to be away from us. What is this called as? Raga and Dvesha. In our Bhagavad Gita class, I think we had seen, I don't know which class, Meghnad's arrow, they were such that on one side you would get fire, another side you would get water. Generally the arrows would be fire from one side, water from one side. Ramayana serial, remember that. On one side you have arrow coming with mountain, on another side arrow coming with thunderbolt. Both of them come, destroy each other. But Meghnad was a Mayavi. He would send an arrow, from top it would be fire, from down it would be rain, water. Now the symbolic meaning of that is, fire represents Dvesha. Something which you want to keep away. And Dvesha, that is all it will do. Create fire inside. Create some kind of agitation inside, that is Dvesha. And Dvesha, when it comes, we want to keep it far away. Other side is Raga. Attachment is something very close only. That water was close by. So that is called as Raga, attachment. The moment we give reality to duality, Raga Dvesha is unavoidable. No matter how hard a person tries, our Shastras say, unless we can remove this duality, our samsara is not going to end. Shvetashvetra Upanishad, what is the example? Yada charmavad akasham veshtayishanti manavaha tada devam avidnyaya dukkhasyantah bhavishyati. Means if it is possible to roll up the sky and put it under the armpit, if that thing is possible, then without getting rid of duality, freedom from samsara is possible. Meaning what? Just as that thing is impossible, rolling up the sky and putting it under armpit, in the same way, without getting rid of duality, freedom from samsara is impossible. That is why he's asking this question, Koyam mahan vibheda brahmaha. Where is this brahma coming in your mind that I am different and you are different? Okay, this is the literal meaning of the verse. But I hope every word is clear. There is a great joy, going word by word and appreciating what it means. What does avabodha mean? Bliss which is known. Bliss which is known. Nistaranga sahaja ananda avabodha. Ananda is that bliss, and avabodha means vibrant joy. Vedanta's joy is not something remote. We don't know what it is. We are striving to get there. Different Mahatma, different words they will use. Pulsating joy. Pulsating joy. Means that which is known to us, that kind of pratyak vastu, which is our own self, in that, how come we are seeing this duality? Now technically, this represents two different vadas. Vada means a technique. One should never get caught up with a technique. Technique is to only take us to an end point. You take technique A, technique B. Main thing is you should reach the goal. Okay? So one vada is called as Pratibimba Vada. Pratibimba Vada, in English you can translate it as theory of reflection. Theory of reflection. What it says there is, the sun represents the absolute pure consciousness. Then you have the container down there filled with water. So that container, you can say, represents the body. Container also includes mind, antahkarana. Just like you have water in that container, like that you have minds which are going to reflect that sun. Okay? Sun represents pure consciousness. The body or the mind or the intellect, that represent the container. The reflection which is happening there, that is this perceiver, feeler, thinker. Pratibimbita Chaitanya, the reflected consciousness which is there, that is whom we call as this jiva, or we call as the ego. Ego is not pride. Ego is conditioned existence, is called as ego. Thinking ourselves to be finite, in other words, that is called as ahankara. Now this is one example. You have different advantages to this. We can explain how one consciousness can appear as many. You can have different containers, right? You can have different reflections. But the purpose is to use that reflection to shift attention to the original. Don't get stuck with only reflection. Bhajagovindam class we had seen this. All of us, even in a family, it is different reflections coming together. Our job is to stay together, reach the goal, and not get attached anywhere in between. So this is one theory. I will not go into technicalities of it. Okay, Pratibimba Vada, this is one. Second one is the theory of conditioning, called as Avaccheda vada. Avaccheda vada. The space which is there represents pure consciousness. Space which is there represents pure consciousness. The pot represents this conditioning. Both are different, don't mix up, don't put water in that pot. If you put water in that pot, it will become Pratibimba Vada. This is empty pot. Body, mind and intellect, that is the conditioning. So what does that condition do? It makes the infinite space feel it is finite. Space which really does not have any boundaries, that space starts feeling, I am finite. You move the pot, what does pot space feel? I am getting moved. Very subtle example. You should sit down and meditate on this. If I move the pot, does pot space move or not? We have two answers, yes and no. The very perception pot space is moving is error. What we otherwise call as superimposition. What is moving there is only the pot. The conditioning is moving. Really speaking, there is nothing called as pot space. Okay, tell me, when was the pot space born? When will it celebrate its birthday? Because our attention is on pot, we have defined something as pot space. Because our attention is on body, that consciousness feels I am conditioned by this body. Where will I find infinite space? Where do I have to search? Exactly where the pot space is, there only I will find infinite space. Not somewhere else, in some other place. So right where this ahankara is, right where this person whom I call as I, name makes it closer, right where this person whom we call as our name, right there we will find infinite consciousness. That is the power of Avaccheda vada. Don't search anywhere else, inquire right here. Taponji Maharaj would not allow two students to talk. After class, his rule was, it is all inside you. There is no need to discuss anything. His style was very different. No need to discuss anything, go anywhere outside, just focus here, you will find the truth. Rather, even if you discuss, the final goal should be this only. Discussion should not lead us more outside. Don't say tomorrow you are not attending study group. Every example gets quoted in the wrong sense. But I hope we are getting the point. The place of inquiry, vichara sthana, is aham. That is the power of Avaccheda vada. Now, Pratibimba Vada, the theory of reflection, let us appreciate some sadhana pointers. What was the theory of reflection? You have the sun, you have the water in the conditioning or the pot, and that sun gets reflected in the pot. What is the main journey? To know that I am not the pot, I am not the water in the pot, I am also not the reflection in the pot. Who am I? I am the consciousness which is represented by the sun. Shuddha Chaitanya, which in the example, analogy, it represents the sun. Even though this is the goal, we can appreciate a lot of sadhana pointers in this example. If you have taken a walk early morning down that river, you see the water is so still, so much so that you can see the reflection of the mountain. And you can also see reflection of the sun. Tomorrow if you go, chant this verse. King Ganga Muni Bimbitem Baramanao Chandala Vati Payah. If the water is still, the reflection itself is so bright, you cannot see it. Reflection, not the original. Reflection is so bright, you cannot see that sun. Meaning, if the mind can become calm and quiet, that reflection of consciousness in a calm mind becomes something which is so brilliant and bright. This is one quality you will see in great Mahatmas. Not only they are abiding in Chaitanya Swarupa, consciousness which is nature of Atma, even their mind is so beautiful that in their presence there is a sense of awe. Even if you see their picture, you see Swami Vivekananda's picture, you see the brilliance in his face, brilliance in his words. That is Chaitanya reflecting in a calm mind. Even our Mahaperiyar, you see his picture intensely, you will see how can that Chaitanya reflect so brilliantly in a sadhu. That is their tapasya, that is their accomplishment through great tapasya and sadhana. Chaitanya, Shuddha Chaitanya which is there, has three aspects. One aspect is consciousness, chit. Another aspect is sat. Sat. Third aspect is ananda. All of you know. The same Sat Chit Ananda, those qualities are reflecting in their conditioning also. Conditioning has been so beautifully created. In their mind, there is brilliance expressing as Chit Shakti. In that same mind, there is Ananda reflecting. That is why in the presence of Mahatmas, there is a strange attraction. That in spite of them not saying too many things, in spite of them just sitting wherever they are, still this mind wants to go there again. But remember, Chaitanya in Sadhaka, Chaitanya in Mahatma, both are the same. What is the difference? In the reflection. That Mahatma has created personality so beautiful that Chit Shakti is reflected, Ananda is reflected as love. Pure love, unconditional love. So much so that nothing of this world can really give us that. Sadhaka realizes that. every sambandha we have, some or the other expectation will be there. But only such a great saint can express that ananda also as unconditional love. Ananda reflected, chit reflected. What is remaining? Sat. How does Sat reflection express in transaction? See, what is Sat? Sat is something which gives existence. It gives existence to the other thing. Sat in a Mahatma reflects as acceptance. Meaning they will never make us feel down about ourselves. In their presence, this sadhaka will always feel valued. That is a reflection of Sat Shakti. The substratum will never keep any superimposed away. Means it will accept everything, reject nothing. Gurudev's quote is there, right? He says, saint is like a mirror. Accept everything, keep nothing. At the same time, reject nothing. Reject nothing. Everything that comes, mirror accepts. In that way, this sadhaka or this sadhana is practiced. See, the difference is in the mirror only. Difference is not in consciousness. And there are so many mirrors you might have seen. I recently came to know about one thing called as Aranmula Kannadi. Have you heard the name? Aranmula Kannadi is in Kannada. Aranmula is the process of making it. That mirror is called as Aranmula Kannadi. It's just a small handheld mirror, $250. Because it undergoes 10 hours of handmade processing. They have so much of, steps involved and everything. But the moment, now you will say it shows the same face, my mirror and this mirror also. But it is distortion free, that's what they claim. I have never seen my face. But the whole point is how Pratibimba also can make us think about sadhana. Vedanta does not only speak about consciousness. At both levels, one should be comfortable and appreciate what is the main message. Okay? So tomorrow in your study group, you will have these topics to discuss. If there are questions, please do write it behind. There are some cards kept, or there are some A4 size sheets, they have been kept behind. Then we can discuss accordingly. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.